This is the Merschman Seeds Ag Weather Outlook, December 16th, 2017, and Christmas is right around the corner. Hope everyone has their shopping well underway. Seems like so many people are now shopping online. It's amazing looking around, seeing all the delivery trucks almost every single day. Big changes. Well, speaking of big changes, that might be a good lead-in in the weather forecast here. This is a jet stream at the current time, and what we want to watch are a couple things when we look at the upper jet stream. This is way up there. We want to look at atmospheric energy, and that's the shading, the color shading. So if you have a lot of that color shading over you, the jet stream is pretty active way above you. That might mean more active weather. The other thing I think we want to keep an eye on pretty close is the location of this low here, this Arctic low circulation, the polar jet. When this starts to sink south, that could bring that really cold weather. Likewise, if it sort of pushes over in this area here, a little bit further off to the west, we're more vulnerable to that dip in the jet stream over the central U.S. So let's keep a very close eye on this because, you know, a little rule of thumb I have is always between Christmas and New Year's is a time when we really start to see the winter weather. Before that, it's somewhat more random, but after that time, that's when I think it gets pretty busy, or it could. So last week I said you'd have a quiet week other than the Great Lakes. Well, here we go. You had a quiet week. You did have along the Great Lakes lee side snow, quite a bit of snow, and you can see that here. Over 6 inches, in some spots nearly a foot of snow on the lee side of the Great Lakes. Temperatures, a bit cooler than normal over the eastern Corn Belt. Green is cooler than normal, especially over parts of Ohio and Michigan due to the extra cloud cover. If you're in the western part of the area, you know, you've been really getting some alternating temperatures going back from unusually cold to now unusually mild weather. So I hope you enjoy it because I see some signs that it could really reverse as we get into the end of the month of December into January. As far as soil moisture goes, well, overall, we really do need some more precipitation in a number of spots, primarily from the Kansas, Missouri, Illinois region, parts of southeast Iowa. We really do need some rain. We don't need it in Ohio. I think last briefing I provided some information how wet Ohio has been, but the sort of the southern Corn Belt does need some additional winter recharge. Now when we look at the Arctic Oscillation, what we see here is we see some variation. Red is positive, but what I want to bring to your attention as we get into towards the end of December, between Christmas and New Year's, we have a transition from positive to negative, and that's that time when we might expect a little bit more active weather as we go from that positive to negative. So let's take a look. This is this week. Jet stream sort of west to east across the area. That polar vortex has shifted a little bit further to the west. This is at rotation. So when I see that, when I start seeing that low in this area, looks to me like all we need is one of these little lobes to come around. It's going to carve this out, and it's going to bring some much colder air to the upper Midwest. Now, I don't see it for the first 5 days into early this week. Above normal temperatures over most of the area. Enjoy it. It's going to be really nice for this time of year. It also looks pretty quiet as far as rainfall. Now, the south central U.S., parts of the southeast U.S., very wet. We're going to still get some lee side snow and clouds over the Great Lakes, but everywhere else pretty quiet week. Here's that snow, another band of pretty heavy snow over some of the Great Lakes states, parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Looks like even a small part of northeast Iowa could get some more significant snow. Now we get into the 6 to 10 day range, and this is just what I mentioned here. I sort of suspected that we get one of these lobes. They're little lobes that rotate around this polar low, and each one of these lobes can sort of carve out a trough, and that's what we're seeing here in the 6 to 10 day range, and that's going to bring much colder air. So if you're in the upper Midwest, enjoy the next several days, because by the time we get out to towards the middle of the week, it's going to be quite different with that cold air pushing in. Now we get into the period between Christmas and the end of the year, and we have that polar circulation. We have sort of a broad dip in the jet stream. It's not so much over the eastern Corn Belt. It's more of aligned over in this region right here. but we've seen this Arctic air spill over most of the area. With the western Corn Belt and parts of the central and especially the northern Corn Belt, temperatures looks like 10 to as much as 20 degrees below normal. So it's going to be very unusually cold in that region, and actually if you look at it, almost the entire Corn Belt, if not the entire Corn Belt, is below normal. So in summary for temperatures, a couple days really nice weather, then gradually Arctic air sinking in. I think the real Arctic air will probably be evident as we get close to Christmas. So week 1, I don't see any place above normal. I do think along the Great Lakes there could be some above normal precipitation. And here's week 2. So it does look like the southern U.S. is going to be quite active for the next couple weeks. So I think that's the weather story this week. Really I don't see anything other than the snow in the upper Midwest. I don't see any excessive precipitation, with the exception of that snow in a few spots. And the south central U.S. quite wet, but overall enjoy those temperatures because it does look like we're going to build in the Arctic air, and once that builds in, it could last for a while from what I am seeing. And I'll try to take a look at that, looking out a little bit longer range in one of my posts that come out this week. If you ever have any questions or any comments, or if you have a topic you'd like me to discuss, you can always send it to me, John, John, @bluewateroutlook.com. Have a great week.